Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, TikTok enjoyers, to another TikTok reaction episode. Oh god, fuck, which one is it? 19, episode 19 of the Dark Dimension TikTok series. So, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was recording this, and after about 25 minutes of recording it, I realized I was watching old videos. I realized I was watching old TikToks. And during it, I was like, I feel like I've seen these before. I feel like I've said some things on these. But I was getting confused because in this series where I go over TikToks that kind of show how shitty the world is, kind of show how bad things are getting, not to make people sad or anything, but to show people the truth so that maybe things could change in the little time we have left to change it, and because I think the truth helps us make informed decisions. But you know, I've already seen these the first time I see them, and then I send them to myself, and then I see them again here and there when I do the TikTok reactions when I scroll through, and I kind of remember some of them. But again, because we're so far behind, we're about a month behind. I kind of forget if I've seen them already or not because I see a lot of TikToks in my week because I usually do these every week. So it took me about 25 minutes to realize I was reacting to the stuff from last episode, or I guess 2 episodes ago, technically. And I was like, God fucking damn it. So I had to scrap that whole thing, cry in the bathroom, and explode. And this is where this is going to be a little bit of a special episode of the Dark Dimension TikTok reactions. And some people might ask, why is that? Am I doing something different? Am I doing something crazy or wacky? Am I reacting with an elf or some special mythical creature of the dark dimension? No, I'm not doing any of that sort of stuff. Today, I had the Grimace Shake. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Grimace Shake is, basically it's this new thing from McDonald's where people have been drinking it and they've been either near death or dying. Now, I drank it earlier today and nothing bad has happened at the time, but now that we've gone into the wee hours of the night, which unfortunately I don't know why I like to record during these times, but I do, my stomach has been exploding and the bathroom has seen me more than once. Now, I don't know if it's different for everyone how they die from the Grimace Shake, but for me personally, I think the method is through internal poisoning. So, this episode might be largely dependent on how long I can last out from the Grimace poison that I've ingested. But we're gonna see. I've already visited the bathroom multiple times. Hopefully, we can finish this episode in a timely manner so I can go do it again. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, like I said, we're gonna be reacting to TikToks. I got my food here. I got my steak, I got my pasta, and I got some Mickey D's from the Grimace meal, which came with fries and stuff. So we're going to be chomping on that while we look at Dark Dimension stuff that's going to convince us and hopefully show everyone else that I am right in what I say about this world being fucked. Anyway, let's see what's going on. Let's see what we can react to.
But there is no agitation here.
Oh.
People seem not to know what to do here.
Right.
So here we have our good old friend Richard Wolf. So if you've seen this series, like many of my thousands of fans have, you're gonna know that there's some people who are return guests on the Dark Dimension TikToks. Richard Wolf being one of them.
think Americans are a little bit like deer caught in the proverbial headlights.
Oh, I think we're like lemmings falling off the cliff. And fun fact about that, so that whole I don't know if it's called a proverb or what, but that whole thing of when people say you're like a lemming, you're just gonna follow what everyone else does. Lemmings don't actually do that. So this is where in reality another thing is proved to us that corporations lie and they make us think things that aren't true and they gaslight us. So that very famous saying of, you're going to jump off a cliff like a lemming because you see everyone else doing it, that is actually something that lemmings don't actually do. I believe that was done by Disney or something, or definitely not Pixar because Pixar's animation. I believe that was done, if not by Disney, by a big movie company that's still around today that was recording something for animals, like some sort of Animal Planet bullshit. But it was in the past, so it was before Animal Planet came out. And I don't know why they showed this, and I don't know why they did this, but they thought it would be a good idea. where they just took a bunch of lemmings and they shoved them off a cliff. They literally pushed them. Now they had the camera situated to where you didn't think they were being pushed. You would think they were jumping off on their own. But no, they were actually being pushed, and for a long time, even up till today, a lot of people don't know that lemmings do not actually do that. That is something a movie company did to make more money, believe it or not. So I think Americans are kind of like lemmings, where, the fake one, not the real one, obviously, where we kind of just see things happening and we just let it happen. And that's been a big complaint of mine for a lot of this TikTok reaction series, is that we see a lot of these things, right? And there's probably way worse stuff going on in the background that we don't see. And I say this every time. I'm basically a broken record at this point with a lot of what I'm going to say in these reactions. But it's like walking into a room, right? You walk into a room, you see vomit on the floor. You see it, it smells, it's nasty, you don't want to look at it, you don't want to smell it. But you stay in the room and it's there and you just don't do anything about it. And it's not getting any better, it's getting worse. That's essentially what I think Americans do. They see these things happening. We know insider trading's happening. We know that corporations and stuff are lying. We know rent is getting out of control when it doesn't need to be. It's because of corporate greed. We know profits have been the best they've ever been during COVID and the pandemic, and we're getting paid even less and less and less. So at this point, it makes me question, are people really just sitting down and taking it? Or am I not knowing the full truth? Because I always also say, like a broken record, I don't know what's true and what's not anymore. This is a little bit of a spoiler for the future video we're going to see, which I sent myself today, so we're probably not going to see it for multiple episodes. But I sent myself a video about our wages compared to the Great Depression 100 years ago, and I then sent myself another video I saw a couple minutes later debunking that video and showing how it was false. And it honestly goes to show you that people, if you show them anything on the internet, they'll just fucking believe it. Like, people won't check the sources, they won't, like, cite legitimate sources, and even if they do, people won't check up on it. And a lot of bullshit is spouted on here, and don't even get me started on AI, because AI is going to ruin our perception of reality and what's real and what's fake even more. But in terms of Americans, I mean, the founding fathers literally had it right. We can't trust the people to rule the country. We can't trust them to make the rules, but we can trust them to pick the right people to make the rules who are smarter than them. If you don't know how to do it, you at least know someone smarter than you can do it. And that's the whole basis of our government elections. Not anymore, but it used to be at least. So anyway, yeah, I think that a lot of Americans, me included, I'm not like trying to put anyone down here, are just stupid fucking idiots who just let shit happen. Granted, what are we supposed to do nowadays? Who knows? But that's basically what Americans are. So yeah, we just spent like almost, I think, 4 or 5 whole minutes on that from the first 12 seconds of this video. So let's keep going. Let me shut my mouth.
They thought that they were in a society that kind of guaranteed that each generation lives better than the one before.
Oh yeah, just like with Social Security, right? That guarantees us we can live when we can't work anymore, or when we shouldn't work anymore. But what's the question of should, and who's that decided by? Our overlords.
The American dream gets better and better and is available. They promised when they got married to one another to provide the American dream to
Yeah, did they write it down in writing, or was it a verbal promise? Because those shits mean jack all.
each other. And then they promised their children to provide it to them. That the children would have a good education, the children would have the opportunity.
They don't
They
have
can't
it.
quite believe that it's not there anymore. You know, for 30 years, as the wages in America stopped rising since the 1970s, Americans reacted by doing two things.
So this is where the ironic part is, right? This is where a lot of young people are realizing it, again, because of the internet, where things are just fucked. Like, they're realizing, like, what the hell's the point of this shit?
Because they couldn't give up the idea that they were going to get the American dream. How do you buy the American dream, which becomes ever more expensive, if your wages don't go up per worker, per hour, which they haven't since the 70s?
Oh god,
The first
capitalism
thing
is
you do
killing me.
is send more
The
and more
grimace
people
shake.
out to work. The women went out in vast numbers.
That was me choking
Older
on apple
people
juice.
came out of retirement. Teenagers did more and more work. Here's a statistic. The OECD, leading agency gathering data on the world's developed economies, shows that the
Fuck.
average number of hours worked per year by an American worker
Oh,
is
please.
larger than
Oh,
almost
God.
any other developed country on
Oh
this
my
planet.
God. No. So this is where I fully believe this, where again, I'm questioning all the facts now, right? Because that video, like I said, I sent myself today, that compared the wages and then how it was proven wrong, and the guy actually did like state his sources and stuff. It really opened my eyes to, like, we really, really do have to question things we think are true. We really do at this point. So Richard Wolff is a doctor, obviously. At least I hope he is. I'm not going to question that too much. But yeah, this is where, like, I'm going in with more of a grain of salt, where it's like, he says these things, these statistics and stuff, where I'm really kind of questioning these things.
We work ourselves.
Now, this is something I can believe though, because in Europe, right, specifically in Greece and Italy and stuff, they have basically, and they have this in the Philippines too, because on Twitch TV Technics channel where I stream every day, one of my viewers from overseas, Rodriguez, he tells me that, yeah, in or during lunchtime they have a siesta, which is basically nap time, which we have in Greece and they have in Italy as well, and they probably have it in more places too, where everything closes down, they don't work, and they just relax and sleep. So I don't know if they make up the hours after, but they're pretty chill in Europe. I'm not gonna lie.
Like crazy. That's what you do if the wages per worker don't go up. You send out more people from the family in order to be able to get that American dream.
And you
But
work
of course, if you
longer.
do that, everybody's physically exhausted.
Yes,
The
mentally.
stresses in your family become more powerful.
Oh
What's
yes.
happened to American families
Uh
is a
huh.
well-known result over the last 30 years. But the other interesting thing to hold on to the American dream that Americans did when their wages didn't go up anymore was to borrow money like it's going out of style.
Oh my God. So many ideas are being brought up here by Dr. Wolf. First of all, this is something I've come to realize, where people are obsessed with money, where money becomes the whole goal of life. And again, like the broken record, I'll repeat a very famous rap quote from Ye, as he likes to be called now. Not having money, or no, fuck, having money isn't everything, but not having it is. No truer words have been said. Where if you don't have it, it consumes your life. It's about everything. Everything is about money. Once you have it, you can actually focus on being a fucking human. I've come to realize that as I've grown up, I'm really obsessed with money, right? Because I want to fucking live, I want to fucking eat, and I want to continue to do these TikTok reactions to my thousands of fans, right? So I want to keep doing these things, but I need money. And because I don't get a lot of money because of my job, which, you could always say is my fault for taking it, although I don't really have any skills, um, you know, makes me obsessed with any money I can get. I'm a cheap fuck. I hate the fact that money consumes my life and I'm so dependent on it and I'm so, like, focused on it. I hate how much stress it gives me, how much I need it. I hate it because it really blocks a lot of other things that I count as necessarily being human. So I've come to know the importance of money for sure, but I've also come to hate money because of the need for it. I hate that we need money, but I love having money and I want more money because it lets me do the things I like, but I don't like that I have to have money to do them. And the big thing here, the second thought I want to bring up here, is it has to do with technology. The wages have not gone up, the technology has gone up, the profit has gone up, everything else has gone up except wages. Now wages have gone up, just not in tandem. So let's say how it actually is. Wages have not gone up at the same pace. They are still going up. So the main issue then becomes at that point, wages aren't going up, technology and everything is, we have to work more, but we don't need to. It literally all boils down to one of the arc prime evil sins, greed. Pretty soon we're going to be overtaken by AI, let's be honest, right? AI is advancing so fucking quickly that in 1 or 2 years, who knows where the fuck we're going to be with AI, where in the span of weeks we're already making breakthrough after breakthrough, right? Literally 6 months ago, or a little over 6 months ago, we wouldn't have not guessed like we'd be with AI where we are now, because it's insane. They're actually taking over jobs. So at this point, right, in 1 to 2 years, when we're out of a job because of AI, what the fuck are we going to do? At that point, the production is way better than any human. They're obviously going to be making more, producing more, earning more money, but I feel like things are going to be worse off for a lot of us because of greed. But anyway, let's continue to listen to Dr. Wolf. I'm going to again try and shut my mouth and hopefully get through a lot of TikToks before I explode from the grimace poison.
You cannot keep borrowing more and more if your underlying wage is not going up, because in the end, it's the wage that enables you to pay off what you've borrowed.
Well, see, this is where, and I'm sorry to pause it again after like 5 seconds, but this is where one of the big things I've noticed is we've become a borrower economy, a renter economy, not an owning economy, not a, owning not even in the rent, or sorry, in the property sense, but not even owning money. All the money we have is just someone else's we haven't given it to yet. Like, any money we earn if we're in debt is not really our own, it's theirs, because then they could repossess all of our stuff, they could kick us out, you know the good old stuff. They can withhold back taxes, all great things. So we're moving more towards now, not even just an owning economy, or sorry, a renting economy, an in debt economy. More people are going to be in debt than people who are not. And it's really scary because I heard some scary stuff again. This is where I really, someone, because it's not going to be me, I'm too busy. Someone should like fact check this, but I heard you can now transfer your debt for some things. I forgot if it was a mortgage or student loans, two of the most evil things there are, to your children. But I've been hearing talks that you could transfer some debt to your children, which is like, that is one of the most evil things. Because imagine having a child, bringing a human into this world, just to like take off some of your debt and push it onto them. What the fuck?
And it was only a matter of time, and 2007 happened to be that time when you couldn't do it anymore.
You couldn't do
borrow
it.
anymore
What was
because you
that
couldn't pay it
accent?
back. And so you stopped your mortgage, or you stopped your credit card payment, or you couldn't make your car payments. And this is a situation that explodes the expectations of a good life. And I think Americans are stunned, and they haven't yet kind of
Well, the
gotten
young
their,
ones are stunned.
their
We're like, what
heads
is
and their
this
arms
shit?
around the reality they face.
And this is the sad part is we see these videos and we've seen them before. I believe in the other episode of the dark TikTok dimension, where we see veterans and they see what has become of this country. And we saw them crying. We saw them like, we didn't fight for this. This is not how we grew up. We're sad like the people aren't going to have these opportunities that we did. We're sad it's going to be worse, right? Now, we can also say that maybe these very old and respectable army veterans don't really know the ways of society anymore like we do. But this is still a common thought and we have to question it. Literally today, at my job, which I'm not paid enough to do, I interviewed and I worked through a certain packet that I had to do with a client who was very elderly, who was around his like 70s or like 60s ish, right? This guy was basically the old man I just described from TikTok. He talked to me like, oh, in school they used to teach this, this, and that. They used to teach history, they didn't change things. They're not teaching all this bull crap that they are now. And he told me like, and I shit you not, he said, and I'm gonna say it in a nicer way than what he told me because of YouTube guidelines. He said that he now feels that we're in World War II Germany, to put it lightly. This old guy, like, I used to hear these on TikToks, right? It was like a shock to me to hear from an actual old guy in real life, in my job, no less. And I was like, what the flying fuck? I obviously didn't say that to him, but I was like, holy shit. And he said, like, yeah, what they're teaching kids is so bad, this, and that. I'm like, damn, I met one of them in real life.
And so we see people in shock, if you like. I mean, I'm stretching the metaphor, but the American dream that they thought they could access, that they were
no
told
longer
they could
there.
access, if they just worked
And
hard.
the question
or went
is,
to
whose
school,
fault
or
is
both
it
of
for
them.
not being
it's
there?
not there. A whole generation of young people is learning that in order to get the education without which the American dream is not possible, you have to borrow so much money that your whole situation is put in a terrible vice.
Yeah.
Then you discover at the end of your 4 years and you have your bachelor's degree that the job you had thought you were then entitled to,
Oh, yeah.
and the income you thought would go with it,
You
they're
thought.
not there.
You thought.
And yet you have the debt. The effect of this on...
I mean, this is where it's all become a business. College is a business, healthcare is a business, mortgages are a business. They're all businesses made to make money. So they don't care if you get good housing, they don't care if you get a good education, they don't care as long as they get money. So this is where the sad part comes in, that these things ruin you for life. Like, it's really sad.
On our society, not just for the young people.
And this is why people are quiet quitting now. People are quiet quitting because they're realizing, what the fuck is the point? I'm gonna work hard, get exploited, and for what? There's no light at the end of the tunnel.
Confronting it daily, but for the parents who helped them, who led them to expect something, that is producing a kind of stasis, immobility, shock.
Good.
But
Because
beware
this is the shock we need to start, like, fucking with the money. Because once you fuck with the money, that's when things change, unfortunately.
if my psychiatrist wife is right, as she usually is. What happens after that period of stasis, of shock, is a boiling over
Yes.
of anger as you kind of
Yes.
confront what
Good.
has happened and that
Oh,
you were
yes.
deceived and betrayed
Yup.
in your expectations, your hopes.
Yup.
And then the question is, where does that go?
Well, you know, as longtime viewers will know, I've been alluding to it a little bit. That goes to something very violent that I definitely don't want to talk about on here because I don't want to be put on some list if I'm not on one already. It's sad that stuff needs to happen through a certain medium that's not peaceful, but it is the way things get done. And this was actually convinced to me, and sadly enough, during all the protests. So when the black people were getting killed by the cops en masse, right? A lot of people protested, and they would go out and they would fuck with small businesses in their neighborhoods. And I would question, why the fuck are they doing this? That has, like, that has nothing to do with them. That's their sort of people. Why are they fucking with, like, the little man, not the big man who's making the rules, the little man, right? The mom and pop business owners. And it was basically argued to me in one venue that, oh, in case, like, at that point, by fucking with them, they're forcing the government to act. Because if they argue to the government doesn't care. But the more people they fucked with, the more people are going to be angry. And, I thought the people would be angry at the people fucking with them, which they probably are. But at that point, they're going to go complain to the government, and then the government has to deal with it. So that definitely happens, and then the government is only going to do something at that point when everyone's getting affected, not when certain groups are getting affected, when everyone's getting affected. So attacking their own, per se, actually ends up benefiting them, because that's the only point when the government actually will get involved, because then they have a problem with it. Again, when everyone has a problem with it, that's when it's going to get changed. If only one subsection has a problem with it, the government will ignore it and they don't care, because it's not a big enough issue. But anyway, wise words from Richard Wolf. It took 20 minutes to get through one TikTok. Amazing. Let's try and go through the rest of them quickly. Oh my god, that's fucking copyright. Alright, so we're gonna have my music playing instead of that shit. And we're gonna go through this little slideshow. So as you could see, I don't know what the significance has, so I'm hoping there's better slides after this for the reason I sent this to myself. But this guy's about to shoot some girls selling Girl Scout cookies. Now, I hope it's not like the Grimace shake, which is causing my stomach to boil over right now, but, who knows? There's not enough context here. Ah, yes, here it is. Productivity soars, wages stagnate from 1950 to 2018. So again, this is apparently from, where's this from? Statista? I don't know if that's legitimate or not, but again, I'm not going to fact check it, but, who knows? Been hearing this a lot, so there's more proof against it. In American mythology, as if we're a religion now, people are rich because of hard work, yet nobody can explain why those who do all the actual work have no money. That's very true. And this is the thing I really thought was sad in my life, where I'll see these people, right, who work at McDonald's, who work in reception, who work at like construction. And maybe construction is a little bit of the outlier, but not particularly. It depends on what you do. This is where these people work their whole lives and they're in poor ass neighborhoods, retired with very little money. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Where did all that hard work go? Now, I don't think they're all spending it stupidly. Some of them might be. But, like, what the fuck? Anyway, next. Have you seen Squid Game? It's this crazy show about people in debt signing up to kill each other to entertain the rich. And then the army man is enlisting him. I don't think our war is to entertain the rich. I think it's rich people just trying to overstep their boundaries that are set up by all the other rich people. So it is what it is. Anyway, we have a picture of Jesus here. Should I feed these people or would it ruin their incentive to better themselves? See, this is where I think like sometimes the quotes are taken a little too far. Where obviously this is a joke, and I think it is still in good taste, but it's like, you know, I think some people, if you give them a lot of free stuff, and I can attest to this with myself because I'm no saint either. If you give me free shit, I'm not gonna really better myself by society standards. I'm gonna stay inside and play fucking, games most of the day. Maybe I'll get sick of it when I can actually do it again. Maybe I'm not into it anymore, but I wouldn't know because I have no fucking time. So, I definitely believe though there are some people where if you give them the means, they will do next to nothing. They will stay at home, they will be useless. But you're gonna have that in society regardless. And is it bad to necessarily have that when we have automation and stuff? Mostly yes, but it's an interesting question I think to think about. Anyway, because again, the whole point of technology is to make our lives easier so we don't have to work or so we can work on the things we want. But if the things we want are counterproductive to society, well, at that point, we're not perfect beings. A lot of things we do are not only counterproductive to society, they're counterproductive to ourselves. I guess the biggest thing is moderation. I think moderation needs to be taught better. But let's keep going. What kind of society do we live in where homelessness is solved with spikes? The society that doesn't want to tackle the problem. It's the same thing they do with the economy. Instead of solving it, let's kick it down the road and have someone else deal with it, which is what they do to the homeless. Oh, hey, this guy's sleeping here. Oh, let's put spikes so he has to sleep somewhere else, and then they're gonna have to put spikes in when they feel like it's an issue. Okay, anyway. After working for 7 decades, she's ready to spend time with her family. She's 91 years old, working at fucking, what is that? Winco or Costco? I don't even know. So she raises 60,000 for retirement on GoFundMe. So she actively had to fucking ask people for a retirement to retire at 91. The fact that our country lets this happen, I mean, I have a special, soft spot for old people because I live with them, right? And they're disabled kind of, so it's very sad to see someone in this age where they've already dedicated most of their life to something they fucking probably hate, right? Where it literally numbs your mind and it makes you a worker drone. The longer you do this shit, the more I feel you get numb to it because you're like losing brain cells, you're losing intelligence, you're losing creativity. Like this old woman, she probably doesn't even care about going to work anymore because she's so used to it. Oh my god, this is oh my god, so tragic. This is disgusting though, that the only way she could retire at 91 was if people like helped her, random people helped her. Not her job, which she's worked for 7 decades. I don't know if she's had the same one, but if you're working for 70 fucking years, you should have enough to retire, unless she likes working. But based on this article and how it sounds like she just didn't have enough money. Anyway, when people claim that the fulfillment of basic needs for all would destroy the incentive to work, which again I half agree with that, they are admitting the entire capitalist system is based in coercion. Well, that's not entirely false because you need to coerce people to do things. The whole way our society functions is through coercion. If you do something bad which you want to do, which we know is in human nature, you will get punished. So you are coerced to do the right thing. Granted, some people have now learned or maybe evolved into the fact that we like doing the right thing. We actually strive to do it, without coercion. But in the beginning, and I still think for a good majority of us, if there were no rules to do bad things, we would still do bad things that benefit us or we just like, right? Which, I guess is still benefiting us on the feeling side. So even if there are rules in place, we still do things that, benefit us that are against the rules. We break the law. Obviously, not in every instance, but in most instances, we break the law because we want to, because not because we need to. Aside from robbing, right? Because now robbing is going to get rampant because no one has fucking money. But you know, we want to do things that are illegal. We want to jaywalk. We like jaywalking because it gets us to our place faster. We don't have to wait to cross the fucking street. We can do it in the middle. Yeah, a little bit of a bad example, but an example nonetheless. But anyway, so I don't believe fully you can't expect people to do things without coercion because we already live in a coerced society. Anyway, work for us or starve, which again, for honestly, for some people, do they need to work is the main question I would ask. Like in society, does everyone need to work? Are there enough jobs for people to work? And do we need that to happen? Or can AI or a certain subsection of people take care of the needs of the larger whole? At that point, would it be fair? No, but society already isn't fair. Labor can never be voluntary in such a system. Yeah, but if things were voluntary, a lot of things that needed to get done wouldn't get done. Like, who the fuck is gonna want to wipe the fucking toilet in McDonald's? I bet you if you go into a toilet, you want it to be clean, but are you the one who's willing to clean it? Hell fucking no. So you need to be coerced. But still, I do still agree with this, just not all the way. When your boss's income has risen 937% and yours has increased by 5.7, it's time to stop blaming minorities for your woes. That's very true. This is where, again, I don't know if these numbers are legit. I don't feel like they are. But the argument will always come in is of, oh, they're working hard. They're working harder. They did the hard part of making and running the business. Let me ask you this. Who do you think does more work? The guy who started the business or the however many employees he has under him? Collectively speaking, the employees under him are making him more money than he's making himself. They're actively earning him more money than he is, right? So at that point, why aren't they getting paid more? Oh, because he started it. So we're putting value on something. We're putting value on starting it, not actually producing the actual money. The place where the money actually comes from is from the workers, not from the owner. The owner can help, right? I'm not saying the owner doesn't produce any money either. He can definitely work and do stuff. But the majority of the income is going to come from the people under him, from the workers who get paid less than him just because he started it. Now, again, you can argue if that's right or wrong. But at the very least, I hope we can agree that a baseline for the workers to at least be able to live off the job is needed. Excuse me. Anyway, poor countries are not underdeveloped, they are overexploited. That is very true. Okay, this one is just stupid. Is the desire to self-destruct innate? I feel like it is once you have knowledge. Or is it a response to redaction to current day reality? I think it's both. But yeah, for sure these kids definitely discuss that. Anyway, that's on the side. Let's go next. We're already spending too much time on this
This morning, it was announced that the European Union has fined Meta a record $1.3 billion for violating EU privacy laws by transferring the personal data of Facebook users to the United States.
Oh, but TikTok bad. Ban TikTok. TikTok data bad.
While this is the largest fine ever levied like this by the EU, what makes it even more interesting is that during all of this, Meta has also been lobbying the U.S. government to ban TikTok, insinuating that ByteDance is doing what Meta has been shown to already be doing repeatedly.
Okay, I've mentioned this so many times before. I have learned these things in higher education. I have learned these. I have shared my wealth with my fans. Blame your opponent for what you are doing. It is one of the most common tactics in political mudslinging and arguing and anything. Blame the other guy for the thing that you're doing. It's insane.
And this isn't even the first time Zuckerberg's company has agreed to pay fines for
Fucking lizard man.
this kind of thing. Last December, Meta agreed to pay $725 million in
Nothing to them, by the way. These are nothing numbers because they're out here shoving up their ass, shitting out, and burning literal tens of billions of dollars on the metaverse, which is failing and just eating their asses. So trust me, these fines are nothing to them.
connection to the Cambridge Analytica scandal. And while Meta didn't admit to any wrongdoing, it did say that it's revamped its approach to privacy over the years, though apparently not. This morning's announcement is just another example of how U.S. lawmakers are actually more interested in...
Dude, look at Mr. Chu here, man. This shit was so funny. These people were so fucking paid off. And again, everyone knows it. Everyone sees the vomit. They smell the vomit, but it's not going to get cleaned up.
Villainizing TikTok, the platform that lets people communicate and spread information in ways never before seen, while those same publicly elected lawmakers protect Meta, because even though they have actually been shown to do what TikTok is only accused of, politicians can directly benefit from Facebook's practices. Remember how many political ads you saw on Facebook and how targeted it all was? How many of those ads have you seen on TikTok? And that's what our leaders seem so scared of, the fact that they cannot control what you see or pay to get themselves in front of you. People like...
And I was about to say that too. It's all about control. They can't control it, it can't exist.
Me can't reach the masses on Meta platforms without paying the fees. And that's by design, so only the chosen few who can afford to pay can decide what the public actually gets to see and hear.
And again, from my media class, that's how you influence people. Very amazing TikTok. Very nice TikTok here. Very depressing, but very nice. Let's go next.
I landed in Paris to this. There are protesters everywhere, and there are no cars allowed in and out of the airport. My Uber driver was kind enough, and he came and picked me up, and we walked half a mile to his car, which is...
See, this is the sad part, where, like, The people are obviously like protesting, right? There's no cars in or out, but people still have to eat. So you literally have Uber drivers still like doing the stuff. So as long, I mean, yeah, it's a bigger inconvenience, and until it becomes an even greater inconvenience, nothing's really gonna change. Because yeah, you know, people are more annoyed now that they have to walk to their Uber, right? That they have to walk further to their car. But at the end of the day, they could still get their shit done. Once they can't get their shit done, once the airport stops functioning, that's when stuff is going to change. And I really feel bad, and I don't mean to incite anything here by saying this. I'm just saying what I think is the reality of unless certain things happen in this way, I don't think things are going to change. I don't think unless the planes literally don't take off and bring people to and from the country, I don't think things are going to change.
which is parked on the highway along with everybody else. There's garbage everywhere in the city.
We've talked about this before too, even the garbage situation. Yeah, it's more inconvenient now that the garbage is left out for so long. Yeah, the streets stink more. Yeah, there's more like, you know, rats and shit. But at the end of the day, the government is hiring private, you know, garbage companies to go and clean it up, not at the same rate as the regular ones, but it's still getting cleaned up eventually so people don't have an issue. Eventually they will when no one's picking up the garbage and it's going to litter the street. Then people are going to get upset enough to go to fucking, I guess their leader, whose name is what, Macron, and actually start making change.
And the
with the guillotine.
designer stores are boarding up their windows. It's a scary scene over here, and there's cops everywhere. I landed in Paris to this.
Stay strong, Paris. Keep it going. Because again, I fear with the times that are coming, as we can see, these protests are having very little effect on the outcome so far.
Lukas, ich bin dein Vater.
Oh! What is this? Han looks completely the same, by the way.
Furcht ist der Pfad zur dunklen Seite. Furcht führt zu Wut, Wut führt zu Hass, Hass führt zu unsäglichem Leid.
Is that the fucking, like, the Hound?
Im Namen des Senats der Deutschen Republik. Ihr steht unter Arrest, Kanzler.
You know what the crazy part is? This is actually their voices, too.
Du hast diesem dunklen Lord gestattet, dich zu manipulieren, bis du schließlich genau zu dem geworden bist, was du geschworen hattest zu vernichten.
Damn, yo, Anakin looking crazy. Now look at him, oh my god. So, I just wanted to add this in here again, because I like to add little things to brighten the mood a little bit. But this is kind of going to be a half and half thing. This brightens the mood because it's like, what the fuck even was this? But number two, you know, this is where AI is heading so far, right? We're not far in AI at all. We're still in its infancy, and already look what we could fucking make. We could take these people's voices. We can create whole entire movies, not recording anything, not doing anything, just with AI. I fully believe in the future, we're gonna make full movies out of AI. We don't need to record anything anymore. Or we're eventually gonna, like, it's gonna become like freaking Sword Art Online, where we're gonna plug into like the metaverse that Zuckerberg has spent $1 quadrillion like funding. Excuse me, and it finally works. But yeah, this is scary, but this is cool. And I hope it brightened the mood at least a little bit.
Well, we are just days away from Great Depression 2 because a guy who should have never gotten hired is really afraid of getting fired.
So, thank God we are not dealing, like I said before, like I've said multiple times, with the debt limit, with the default crisis that's over, so we don't have to watch this whole 7-minute video. We'll watch a little bit of it just to get this guy's thing, but we're not gonna watch this whole thing, hopefully.
See, we need to raise the debt ceiling, which is a make-believe thing we put in place for no fucking apparent reason. And it
because we want to keep going into debt to keep making more money and to keep things rolling, because that's how we've decided to do things.
Limits how much debt the U.S. government can take on, which is also a make-believe thing. If we don't do this, we can't pay the bills on the shit we already wrote the checks for. And what happened?
Like, imagine that. Imagine writing a check for something you don't have the money for yet, but you're gonna get. That is just asking for disaster.
Happens when we don't pay our bills? Global economic meltdown. Because basically the entire global economy's foundation is the US dollar. Because it's...
See, and this is another thing I question. Do other countries not see how stupid we are? Do other countries not see, like, how fucked and, like, I don't want to say biased, I want to say corrupt how corrupt and fucked our government is, do the government see like how close we are to like economic meltdown, which is gonna melt everyone else down too? So like again, the question becomes, why are they all dependent on the dollar then? Well, it's because we have the greatest army in the world and we kind of force them to.
It's stable and it's safe. Stable
Yeah,
and safe for three
relatively.
reasons. The first being we have the biggest economy in the world. We have the most money, so everybody wants to do business with us, and you can't cut us off from things. Second is we have
And
really
if you cut us off from things, we either secretly kill you, secretly oust you, or we were gonna do something. The U.S. is gonna get its way.
big sticks, bigger than anybody else. A lot of big sticks, more than anybody else, and we have those big sticks in more places than anybody else. So if anything ever threatens the interest of the U.S. economy or the stability of the U.S. dollar, we could blow up your country for 20 years straight.
Yup. Okay, so basically we're gonna leave it here. We're only gonna watch like a little bit of a minute of it. But he makes really good points. But yeah, so the debt limit thing is over, and I think we've sufficiently described like how our economy is shit many other times. So in the interest of time, we're gonna skip this one just because it has to do with the debt limit.
Point of the hearing this morning is to examine Kevin McCarthy's so-called Limit, Save, Grow Act.
Okay, so again, this is more of the default shit. So we're gonna watch a little bit of it again. I don't want to fully skip it, but again, this is all old news.
Accurately known on our side as the Default on America Act, an act cobbled together by House extremists in back rooms in the dark of night.
I love the way they describe this. One of my favorite things, and again, this is being like shown to the world, right? Like the world leaders are watching like our economy and our government talk to each other this way. And I just wonder like how do they just go along with this clown show? Which again, like we said before, there's multiple reasons why. Most of them they, can't really choose to say no to. But I just think it's so funny how they're framing them like a fucking supervillain. Like they're doing it in like the dark of night and back alleys, like it's a fucking drug deal.
Since the House didn't hold a single hearing on this extreme and dangerous measure, the Senate will.
This is so
MAGA
funny.
Republicans' dangerous bill proposes a terrible choice. Default.
The framing for this is so blatant that they just hate this. Like they're just saying, yeah, this is terrible, this is bad, back alley, dark of night, stupid, unwise, we're gonna make the right decision. Oh, okay, here guys, we're gonna show you the wrong decision they made. Like they're leaving nothing up to interpretation. They're shitting on literally everything.
On our financial obligations, causing widespread pain and wrecking our economy. Or gut basic federal programs essential to our economic strength, causing widespread pain and wrecking our economy. It is a false and unnecessary choice.
And the worst part is, let's just say you were neutral. Let's say you were a neutral party, and you heard the arguments of both houses. You wouldn't know which one is true. Because the Democrats say, okay, if he gets his way, he's going to wreck the economy. If he doesn't get his way, we're going to default, he's going to wreck the economy. The other side, the Republicans, would say, okay, if the Democrats get their way, we're going to wreck the economy because we're going to keep going into debt because we're wasteful spending. Our debt limit's going to go up and, inflation's going to be worse and worse and worse, and they're going to wreck the economy if we give them what they want. If we don't give them what they want, default happens. So our solution is do this, which is going to fix the problem. Both sides is saying their thing is going to fix the problem, and there's no hard proof that it will. And it won't, because they're not fixing the problem, they're just pushing it down the road.
MAGA Republicans have claimed they are averting a catastrophe by setting up this rotten choice. Do not believe it. They are causing one.
So again, this is exactly what the other side would say too. How do you know which one's right? It goes into beliefs and it goes in things you can test and prove, but you can't test and prove what thing is going to work better for the economy without doing it. And you'll never know what the other side would have done because it's impossible at that point. And even if they did it in the future, they're always going to cry wolf that, oh, things are different now. So there's no way to know what's right and wrong. It's honestly just take your best guess.
Many of them want one. Our Republican House friends care about the debt sporadically. With Republican presidents, they pass huge tax cuts for the wealthy and large corporations, adding trillions to the debt. More than $7 trillion of debt was added under President Trump, and almost $3 trillion was added under President George W. Bush, the last two Republican presidents. But when there's a Democrat in the Oval Office, they seek to interfere with the ability of government to function, whether it's shutdowns or near defaults or blocking economic recovery legislation.
Okay, so we're going to leave it here. Basically, both sides are going to say the other side is evil. So our government's a clown show. Moral of the story. Next.
My strong view is we cannot succumb to the hostage taking of these extreme Republicans.
So again, more default shit because we were getting kind of close to default, as you can see by the dates here. And this is actually from Bernie Sanders. But the crazy part is, when I first saw this, I thought there was a decent shot this could have been from AI with the way, like, the camera is, like, framing everything. Like, this is the exact thing we saw before of how they framed the stuff with AI and, like, the Star Wars thing.
Was circumventing the normal appropriations process. And it was saying, hey, if you don't do what we want you to do, which is to make savage cuts to the needs of working people and low-income people, we Republicans are prepared to cause massive economic chaos throughout the entire world by, for the first time in American history, not paying our debt.
Fucking craziness. Oh, I didn't mean to like that. Sorry, Bernie. I'm taking away that like.
To that is to say, hey, you know what? The 14th Amendment of the Constitution says that the public debt shall not be questioned.
Damn.
And in my view, that means you pay the bills that you owe.
Yep. So I think obviously I'm on a little bit of a certain side. I can see both sides because, again, I don't really know much about politics. So not knowing much about both and hearing both arguments, I don't know how both are going to, like, prove themselves right, aside from saying, like, we're just right, they're wrong. Like, it's not something, again, you can necessarily prove with these, like, oh, yeah, look, my thing works. Well, obviously it doesn't, because when you guys were in power, you didn't do anything. And then, again, it becomes, like I said before, a cried wolf, like, battle of, oh, well, we couldn't do it then because the Republicans stopped us, or, this, and that. There's always a reason. There's always a reason why it can't be fixed when you guys have power. But when you don't have power, you say, give us power and we'll fix it. So, more of the usual. Let's go next.
Chocolate, we're about to face an unprecedented global economic failure.
Okay, so again, more debt ceiling shit. Let's go next. When you just worked 8 hours and have to come in tomorrow to do the exact same thing. So the reason I put this in here is because this is literally me. I laugh, but I'm also crying. So I'm honestly sick of it. Like, the sad part is, right, a lot of the older generation, and I don't think this is entirely a wrong thing either, right? A lot of the older generation be like, oh, well, we had to chop off our arms and legs to crawl to work every day, and we had to work 27-hour days, and we didn't complain, we did it, so why are you complaining? Like, obviously, yeah, maybe things were worse, but just because things were worse and we have it better than what you had it, we're still not at a point where things are good. So why does it become this pissing contest? Now, this is where I can say, I think, honestly, as time has gone on, we've become more snowflakey, we've become more sensitive, and, I'll just speak for myself here, I've become more of a bitch. I don't want to work. Now, a lot of the time people say, it has to do with people not wanting to work. It's not that I don't want to work. It's that I hate working, number one. But number two, what am I getting from my work? Like I said before, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. What's the whole point of this? I'm miserable, and I'm hoping I'm going to be miserable for at least the chance to be happy later on. And if for me to be happy, I just am hoping for the bare necessities, and I can't even guarantee those, what the fuck is the point? Like, honestly. Excuse me. But anyway, yeah. I think it's not that people don't want to work. I think it's two things. People want to be justly compensated and be able to live with certain amenities that we now should come to expect in the society we have with the technology we have. And number two, we want to feel fulfilled. Some people don't need to work to feel fulfilled. I feel like I'm one of them who does. I hate what I do. I do nonsense. I do, like, nothing really important, and it's the same, like, monotonous thing every day, which also provides a certain level of comfort, sure. But honestly, it's those two things that I think really are needed, not even in work, just in life, right? Just pay to be able to not only live at the bare bones level, which we can't even do now, but, just pay to live a decent life, a good life, because we can certainly afford to do that for everyone, and fulfillment. But yeah, no, the 8-hour workday is fucking terrible. I hate this shit. I hate working just any hours any day. But yeah, this is me though. Next.
The New York politician Nicole Malliotakis just bought New York Community Bank stock for $6.54.
And why did she do
one
that?
Day later, news came out that New York Community Bank is now absorbing the newly bankrupted Signature Bank. The stock popped to $9.19 for a 40% gain.
40% gain. For those of you who don't know the stock market, this isn't going to matter to you. For those of you who do, typically I'll tell you this, right? In a day, stocks move maybe 1%. Maybe. 40% is dead indication of shady ass shit happening.
In one day. Obviously, politicians know things that we don't. They sit on private committees and have secret meetings, and they just have insights that no one else has.
Yep, it should be illegal for them to do anything with the stock market.
So what is stopping us from trading their trades? Absolutely nothing. They're required to disclose and show you their trades. I'm sending trade alerts to anybody that wants them on my website, borsfinance.com, and we are trading based upon their trading habits.
Well, there you fucking go. Again, I always say, if you can't beat them, join them, and then you could beat them. Or you could become them.
Politicians, baby, making us money.
Damn straight. Instead of making themselves money, they're making us money too. Anyway, yeah, so this is more proof of insider trading. Nothing new. Let's go next.
$1 million 1993 today is now $2,070,000.
Okay, see, again, I'm going to question everything. That sounds believable with the history of the S&P 500.
Inflation in 5 years will probably devalue half of everyone's money listening to this in their 401ks, IRAs, and their soft saving accounts. Like right now, the world is a wreck, and their only solution to the devaluation is they're going to have to work harder. Over the last 20 years, 2002 to 2022, salaries have increased 27%. But the cost of a home has gone up 148%. In other words,
disgusting.
Like our cost of living and lifestyles is not keeping up. Average person drives a $60,000 a year car that has a $50,000 a year salary with over $100,000 a student debt, 60% of America living check to check. We have a problem.
Look, there's the magic
and
number,
being busy
60.
is not the solution, and getting another job is not the solution. You have to graduate and develop more of the Gen Z millennial mind that says there's got to be a smarter way. It can't be the immigrant way of just work harder. Because there is something to say for hard work, but if it's not smart enough hard work, then it's stupid work. It's dumb work. And there's a lot of financial idiots out there that have just not gotten themselves educated.
That is very true. So very short, very true video. Again, what more is there to say that hasn't already been said? Everything is just fucked. This is where it's been said before, again, but once the people are unable to afford the goods that they produce, that's when things get really fucked. The rich can definitely step in at this point now where they have enough money where they could supplement that for a little bit, but not forever. Like, not forever. Unless our economy becomes really fucked where the rich can just have a cycle where they, like, supplement themselves and make more money than they spent on themselves, which is certainly possible. Like, it's just... this is just terrible, man. I don't even know. Like, holy shit. My adult life has been 2 recessions and a pandemic. Jesus Christ. We are struggling to buy groceries while working 40 plus hours a week. I love the emojis too. But yeah, all true shit. Let's go next. Alright, so we got another slideshow here, and I actually like the song here, so let's play the song. Workers aren't... God damn it. Workers aren't poor because they don't know how to save money or cook a meal cheaply. That's not entirely true, especially with my generation. My generation does not know how to save, and they don't know how to cook for the most part. Even me, I'm not a 5-star chef, I'm not Gordon Ramsay, and I'm not a financial advisor, or a saver, or a planner, but I would say I like to know more than the common person. Because I invest and I cook all my own meals because I basically live with old people, and I have to take care of myself. But that's how it's been, so... Workers aren't poor because they don't know how to save money or cook a meal cheaply. They're poor because a minority of capitalists owns the means of production, exploit their labor, and pay them as little as possible. All true. Workers are poor because capitalists are rich. Kind of true. So, bought a 17,900 SF storage facility. I'm assuming that means San Francisco. 14 months ago. The town population is about 1,000 people. No competitors within 30 miles. Raised rates by 50%, got cursed out by a lot of tenants that moved out. Today we hit 100% occupancy at the new rates. So this guy is celebrating that he kicked out people that can't afford the new rent and basically just made more money on people that couldn't. Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. It's really becoming a world where if you're not with them, you're against them, like, and they don't even see you. They really don't. This guy does not care that he kicked out, like, all his tenants, and those guys, like, are probably, I would hope none of them become homeless, but some of them are probably homeless. Like, this is sad. Anyway, delivery workers in NYC made history when they won a 24-hour minimum wage. It was supposed to go into effect in January, until it didn't. DoorDash and Grubhub ran a shady backroom campaign to delay and water down the law, but Los Deliveristas are fighting back. So, unfortunately, I haven't heard any news about this, and I can guarantee you that in NYC, these delivery people do not make that much an hour. I know they finally got something passed where they're trying to make a certain hour wage. I think it's 17 an hour, but even that is having its caveats. I'm not too familiar with it, but that's what I'm hearing now. So again, from 24 to 17, both of those numbers I think are still unlivable in New York City. And we have Mr. Wonderful too corroborating this in an old video way back when in one of the reactions. Mr. Wonderful saw someone making $50,000 a year, or 50 or 60, I forgot which one, right? But let's take out my handy dandy calculator. Let's just say 50. Let's go lowball, right? 50,000 divided by 52, because there's 52 weeks in a year, divided by 40, that's $24 an hour. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, when seeing someone making 50,000 or more, it could have been more, I don't remember, but we'll say 50,000, he said, what, do you live under a rock? Do you live in the park? He said you can't live off 50,000 a year, so $24 an hour minimum. To Kevin O'Leary, who's obviously rich and he's a little disconnected from society, is even admitting that's nothing. Again, you can argue his thing isn't that accurate, but still, for a rich guy to be saying that, you gotta question it. Mr. Wonderful. Next, America is the most propagandized country in history. That's true, because everyone hates their bosses, hates their job, and thinks the government is completely in the pocket of big business, and yet everyone still claims to love capitalism. I feel like that's changing, though. I love this song so much. Snowfall is such a good song. The person who picks up our garbage in the final analysis is as significant as the physician, for if he doesn't do his job, diseases are rampant. All labor has dignity. That is very true, and this is the part where it's sad that this even happens, right? It's sad that certain jobs and certain occupations are looked down upon, and I'll give the thing of the Taco Bell worker, right? Working at Taco Bell or working in any fast food spot is seen as kind of not necessarily deplorable, but low skill, low effort, which I would say it takes a lot of effort and a lot of hard work to work in places like that. I mean, just look at McDonald's. So I don't know why it's looked down on, and at the end of the day, if you don't have people working those jobs, you're not gonna get your fucking McRib. You're not gonna get your fucking Big Mac that you want to shove in your fat fucking face. So at that point, you're gonna get upset. You want to make fun of them, but you need them. We just shouldn't make fun of people for a lot of things, but it's sad. But yeah, no, I would definitely say these laborers definitely have dignity, and their benefits are through the roof, so at least something's going right for them. Anyway, you have to ask yourself, if our economic system actively destroys the biosphere and fails to meet most people's basic needs, what is actually the point? Well, the point is to meet the needs of the people who control everything. It's so funny hearing the fucking Undertale song here. Hold on, I gotta switch this. There we go. It was really conflicting with the music here. Anyway, do you work well under pressure? Needs the response, is this job one that regularly engages actual emergencies, such as emergency room, fire department, or do you fabricate urgency through poor management, uneven distribution of duties, and an inflated sense of self for upper management? So basically what she's saying is, hey, is this a spot where people leave a lot? Like, is this a spot where, like, it's a shitty job? Just say what it is. Most of us are far closer to having a public mental breakdown or being homeless than we are to amassing money and power in this society. I don't know what the point of that is saying, but that is true. The fact that we have lost all empathy for people in distress and have replaced it with groundless fear and disgust is unbelievably dark. And this hits home for me because, like I always bring up every fucking time, the homeless situation in New York is just tragic. A lot of people assume that homeless people either got there by themselves or are on drugs or don't deserve the help or someone else will help them. And, you know, no one does. A lot of homeless people in New York are just fucked, and it's so sad. Ah, God, this is so depressing. Y'all be talking about Illuminati controlling the world in secret, but what if there's actually just a group of billionaires who lobby to politicians and do what the fuck they want regardless of legality, and the gag is they don't do it in secret because they don't care? That's what I've been saying. Poverty exists not because we cannot feed the poor, but because we cannot satisfy the rich. Well, yeah, but it's because the rich cannot be satisfied. And this is kind of the sick part of it. Let's just say we get rid of the rich, right? Let's just say we solve a problem, we get the rich out of there, we cut off their heads, or we oust them to like some space colony they build for themselves, or to fucking, I don't know, Atlantis, the lost city. At that point, the poor, or people who were poor, are going to become rich, and the cycle is going to repeat. This isn't a thing that's isolated to the rich, it's isolated to humans. And that's the scary part, where, yeah, sure, we could get rid of it now, but the poor people are gonna, you know, become rich, and they're gonna still keep going with the problem. So it's definitely sad. Socialism doesn't mean taking wealth from those who work hard and giving it to those who don't. You're thinking of capitalism. That is honestly so good. That is honestly so fucking good. It's so fucking accurate. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy and it's fucking scary, but it's so fucking right. Oh my god, it's fucking... Ugh. Like, at that point, I was thinking, like, damn, they're really shitting on socialism. Like, socialism is not that. And they proved it wasn't that, because it was fucking capitalism. Anyway. Damn, these are so fucking long-ass slides. How many are in here? It's annoying that we recognize that children need things like a summer break and several vacations a year, but we think it makes sense to have adults work for 60 years with maybe 2 to 3 weeks off a year if you're lucky. How fucking true this is. There's a lot of things I question when I get older, right? That are different from how we were kids. And the whole argument was, oh, well, that's just how it is when you're an adult. Well, why is it like that? Oh, because people decided it was like that. Does it need to be like that? No. The thing I always questioned was, as a kid, we get summer break. Why the fuck as an adult do we not get summer break? Why? Because the businesses want to keep making money. Now, granted, some businesses need to stay open, but there's an easy fix for this. Have different businesses, even within the same sector, operate at different times of the year. Like, hey, okay, this like business gets winter off. There's the same business that does what we do that doesn't have winter off, that has summer off. But at the end of the day, you get a season off. Like, what the fuck? Capitalism. Under communism, everyone would just be a drone with no individuality. If there's an image that really broke down how I felt, it's this. At my job, I numb myself. I sort of silence myself. I don't let how I am come out with all the ooh and the ee. In my day, if no one talks to me, I talk to no one. I don't talk to anyone, and the conversations I do have, if they come to me, are very, like, I don't want to say vain, they're very front-facing of, oh, you know, how are things? Oh, things are doing good. Because God forbid you say anything else. If anything else is said, you know, what's really gonna happen? Nothing. So what's the point? So, you know, you say, oh, everything's good. Oh, okay, cool. All right, well, I'll get back to it. Oh, you hear about, you know, the weather. You hear about Trump. You hear about Putin. You hear about the war in Ukraine. Oh, yeah, I heard about this, and that. And God forbid you share your opinion if it's different from the other person, because that's how you get in trouble. So pretty much, yeah, this is how I feel a lot of my days now. Okay, so 2021. Endeavor. CEO raked in $308 million. All these CEOs raked in millions, right? Meanwhile, pay for writers has fallen by 23% over the last decade. So this is actually something that Adam Conover, I believe his name is, went over, and a lot of people are basically protesting for. A lot of these companies that are making a lot of these shows, their writers can't even afford rent. And again, look at these profits. More of the same shit. If we could stop treating politicians like celebrities and start treating them like employees, that would be great. I don't even think we treat most of them like celebrities. I think we treat most of them like the fucking, like, devil. But then again, that makes me question, right? If we treat them like the devil, how are they still in office? Because we definitely voted them in there, but maybe that's when they were nicer, but who knows. Next, anytime you hear the economy is up or stocks are at a record high, remember, the top 20% owns 93% of the stocks, and the top 0.1% owns 100% of the news stations pushing this narrative. But for the bottom 80% who can't afford news stations or stocks, the economy is killing us. I say the same thing about New York that I'm not going to say about, like, the country as a whole. It's basically for the rich people. Okay, finally, the last one. Jesus Christ, this one was good though. Why isn't food and housing a guaranteed right? Because how would they make money? What do you mean I have to tie myself to wage slavery to house myself, eat, etc.? The phrase earn a living says everything you need to know about end-stage capitalism. See, this is, again, the sad part where I feel like, again, I'm just repeating myself, but we're at the point where we have enough food to feed everyone, but if you don't work, you don't get food. But why does everyone need to work, and can everyone work? Is there a job for everyone anymore? Like, this is where there's not a lot of choice, because you need money so badly. Ideally, because we're in such a good spot technologically, you'd want to work for something you'd like to do, right? But what if there's not a lot of jobs where you would do something you like to do? Well, then you have to eat shit and get something you hate because you need to eat. Oh my god, I hate how much we're, like, involved with money and how much dependence we have on it. But anyway, really good slideshow here. Very depressing, very good. Let's go next. Ah, yes, another slideshow. And this shit's loud as fuck, so let's read this shit. This one is a short one, though. I remember this one, actually. Okay, this shit is copyright as fuck. I'm not letting this play. If you boys don't go back to work, we will bomb you. What do you say? Just look at that. Doesn't this remind everyone of what Biden did recently? Oh, we're striking because we're not able to live lives that are enjoyable. We have to work 6 days of the week. We don't get paid enough. And people don't listen to our safety concerns, which ends up ruining communities and us dying. We want better things. That should be guaranteed as a baseline. What did Biden do? It's illegal for you guys to complain. Get back to work. Like, what the fuck? Remember, yeah, so if you don't get to work, we will literally bomb you. No, they did not get to work. Also, what the fuck's going on with the music? I don't hear anything. Okay, there we go. I kind of hear something. Oh, fuck, we went forward. Okay, so no. Then we could see they're not working. And then look, the air fleet ordered by the... ordered to WVA, I'm assuming that's Washington something, battlefield. Oh my god. So yep, they actually did bomb them. Anyway. Let's unmute this. What is this?
To you, what is the answer? I would say massive bloodshed. I really would.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so let's get the beginning of that again.
You know, if I had to say to you, what is the answer? I would say massive bloodshed. I really
Jesus
would.
Christ.
I don't really, honestly, deep down believe in political action. I think the system contracts and expands as it wants to. It accommodates these changes. I think the civil rights movement was an accommodation on the part of those who own the country.
Yes.
I think they see where their self-interest lies. They see a certain amount of freedom seems good, an illusion of liberty. Give these people a voting day every year so that they'll have the illusion of meaningless choice. Meaningless choice that we go like slaves and say, "Oh, I voted." The limits of debate in this country are established before the debate even begins, and everyone else is marginalized. They're made to seem either to be communists or some sort of disloyal person.
Yep, if you're not with them, you're against them in the worst way. And what did they make that evil for a long time? Communism.
Kook, there's a word. And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something.
Again, this is where I've said this before, where I always took people as who said these sort of things as conspiracy theorists because that's what was defined as bad.
That is.
But again, we're finding out they're not so much conspiracy theorists and it's not so much bad.
That is should not be even entertained for a minute, that powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff. So, the only way you cure that, death, bloodshed. I don't advocate it, but I see that it's really the only.
All right, so I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this, I was like, damn, this kind of sounds like something. I'm not gonna say what, but kind of sounds like something. But yeah, no, George Carlin definitely has some really great ideas, really depressing ideas. I'm not gonna say whether I agree or disagree. I think that should be pretty obvious by now. But yeah, it's sad. It's just sad that things are getting to this point where I think death and bloodshed can't even happen anymore if we're just going with his idea, because that's how much of a level of control the people in power now have over us. I think for a large part, a lot of things are too late, unless extreme things which are so unlikely to happen, they're probably not going to happen at all. Like, let's just say 90% of the population gets up, has had enough, and we go after the rich. They can't stop us then. But what's the chance that 90% of the population will do that? How much of the population has fucking mental issues or is overweight and is unfit to even, like, run a mile? So, again, it's really not going to happen, and it's sad. But George Carlin definitely can relate to him. Very, very nice. Very nice.
As the United States looms toward
Okay, so this one I put in honestly just because, like, this is Drifter, right? For those of you who don't know, I used to watch this guy when I was a kid in middle school and high school for Call of Duty videos on how to get better at multiplayer in Call of Duty. Now what is he fucking doing? I mean, I'm glad he's still around and stuff, but Jesus Christ.
The default and the debt ceiling negotiations have stalled. Most of our lawmakers have decided now is a good time to leave Washington, D.C. early on a Thursday or Wednesday night and go home for a long Memorial Day weekend and
while the rest of the country burns.
Come back next week and try to fix this. So the people who are primarily responsible for holding not just the United States economy hostage, but
so even though this has to do with the debt limit, I'm gonna play it just because I'm like so shocked that Drifter's doing this.
Essentially the whole world economy, because it'll have ripple effects throughout the world, have decided that since they can't reach a deal, they can't negotiate with each other well enough, that instead what they're going to do is go home for a long weekend, have a nice vacation with their family.
Insane.
That is the height of irresponsibility, of all the wacky nonsense.
And again, he says irresponsibility, he says wacky nonsense, which is kind of true. But at the end of the day, this is something that Clear Value Tax Brian on YouTube said. We're always going to reach an agreement. We're never going to default. They like to play this game of chicken, but no one's ever going to cross the line, and we're always going to reach a deal.
Since I've seen come out
and I honestly believe it.
Washington, D.C. in the last 5 or 6 years since I've been covering political stuff, this might actually be the most irresponsible. This is literally the global economy, and they're like, nah, I don't want to do any overtime for global economy. I want to go home and barbecue. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Literally, as a YouTuber, as a disabled YouTuber, I have more discipline than that.
Okay, I didn't know he was disabled. Wow.
To stay here and work Memorial Day weekend and make content. There's a ton of minimum wage workers, doctors, construction.
The minimum wage workers, I swear to God, and we just talked about them, right? With like, you know, the people at the bottom, how like they have dignity. I feel so fucking bad for them, man. They have to do so much work. I go to McDonald's once a week to get $1 fries, right? Which aren't even large, they're medium. But I go get $1 fries. And I see how these people work so hard. And I get so sad because they're not earning enough. And they're working so hard. And it's just so unfair. It's so fucking unfair.
People, business owners, people that work from home, call centers, 1,000 jobs that have to work through Memorial Day weekend. But the people whose job is protecting the global economy just get to take a long break. Like it's absolutely nothing.
It's sickening.
And that is just...
Yeah, that reaction is basically my reaction too.
Feels terrible. It could also just be a pump and dump. They're all insider trading, so why couldn't they just short everything, crash the economy, get all their money, and then dump it in again to reinvest and try to blow it up and go big? That's just as possible as anything else, because this makes no sense to me.
Yeah, just like the Drifter here, a lot of this shit does not make sense to me either. How it's allowed to happen, how we know it's happening, how it continues to happen. Crazy ass shit. Also crazy that, again, I saw this guy for COD videos when I was a kid. And I'm 25 years old now.
The whole world is being optimized for the top 1%. And that's probably
facts.
A bit of an exaggeration. It's probably more like the world's being optimized for the top 10%. That is
for now it's the top 10%. But it's slowly going to reach forward even after that. This is where I think the rich people don't realize, unless you're giga rich, giga wealthy, you're eventually going to be on the chopping block. Maybe not in your generation, maybe not in your kids' generation, if we last that long with all the problems with the environment and war and stuff. But, you know, leave it to time. If we go the way we're going, the rich are going to become the middle class, what we consider rich. What we consider ultra wealthy is going to stay ultra wealthy, but the line is going to keep rising.
OS, and anything below that is paying a price. And that's not to say rich people aren't a good thing. You need billionaires. You need wealth creation at the top. But when you have this kind of crowding where 80% of all income gains go to the top 1%, that means the rest of the 99 got to split the 20. The bad news is that the mechanisms of self-correction are usually one of three things: war, famine, or revolution. And we're getting to that point when just 3 people have as much wealth as the bottom half of America. At some point, the bottom half of America figures out a way to take their money away because it's the easiest way to double their income.
Yeah, I mean, if you have $1 and you steal $1 from a rich guy who's not going to notice it, you've doubled your income, and the rich person doesn't care because it's literally nothing to them. Crazy ass shit, man. Crazy ass shit.
Hello.
I love this guy, by the way. I sent myself a lot of videos from him for the future, but this is for sure going to be outdated because he covers current events at the time, which is 5/24. So, let's see.
Stuff has happened.
As
so
it
what's
always
up? A
does.
quite stoppable force has met a quite immovable object at the White House. I'm not talking about the debt negotiations. I'm talking about a U-Haul that was crashed into the barriers of the White House. Some 19-year-old dude rammed this U-Haul into these barriers.
A fucking U-Haul.
Backed up and rammed them again, seemingly in an attempt to get to the White House to hurt the president.
What a stupid way to do it.
A literal Nazi flag was recovered at the scene. This is the sign of a healthy country.
Yes.
Dear viewer, I hope you are prepared for the most cursed sequence of words that I can imagine. Current reporting is that Ron DeSantis will announce his 2024 campaign tonight in a Twitter live space with Elon Musk.
Okay, that didn't sound that crazy.
Anyway, Elon Musk has already pledged his support to Ron DeSantis, and
yeah, so a little flash forward here. People think Ron DeSantis is fucking crazy.
This is taking it quite a step further. You know, Elon Musk, the guy who keeps talking about how both sides are bad and he's a centrist, supporting Ron DeSantis. A Mexican volcano is getting fairly spicy. There is a volcano in central Mexico called Popocatépetl.
Yeah, that's how I would say it too.
It's been like smoking and smoldering. It hasn't like gone kablooey yet, but like it's getting a little spooky. And they've issued sort of like a level 3 warning. They've issued some kind of warning that's basically like, hey, yo, get ready to jet. But
dude, even Mother Nature's fighting back at this point. This shit's fucking crazy.
You know what's already erupting? The effect
my ass, because this Grimace Shake is going crazy.
Of artificial intelligence on the economy.
My favorite topic.
So here's the deal. Somebody made an AI-generated image of the Pentagon being attacked. And first it was shared on Facebook, but it was quickly cross-posted over to Twitter by somebody with a blue check mark. So it was posted to Twitter. It also had a caption that was like, oh, breaking news, the Pentagon's under attack. And then the stock market started to drop. Now,
this is the craziest shit ever. The craziest shit ever here is that, again, I had these fears from the beginning. And I thought it would take a while to get to these fears, but it's already starting, and this was last month, right? Well, technically it's July now, so it's over a month ago. But this is fucking wild. Like, it's something like that, right? And again, I'm always gonna say the same things. We're in the infancy of AI, where eventually it's gonna get even better to where we're not gonna be able to know the difference. Where, like, you know, you could kind of tell where things are AI because they're not that good yet. We're going to get to the point where they are, where, again, I always say, what if there's a leaked audio file or a leaked video of Putin saying he's going to nuke the U.S. and the nukes are sent? At that point, how is the U.S. going to know for sure? Like, there could be so much stuff that happens by accident because of AI. It's fucking scary.
Now, notably, the market bounced back pretty quickly after people realized that it was not real, and then the account was suspended.
Wow.
But what the fuck?
Yeah,
New segment alert.
honestly.
New segment alert. On this day in 1626, Peter Minuit purchased Manhattan for about the equivalent of $1,500 in today's currency.
Insane.
He bought it from the Dutch East India Company, and it was eventually turned into New Amsterdam. And then it turned into a sleepy little city called New York City. I should say it was purchased from local indigenous people.
Yes,
Make of that what you will.
Swindled.
Lightning round. Ice Cube says that AI is demonic.
It is.
So it must be true. The comedian best known for his character Uncle Roger has been banned from Chinese social media after making a joke about their authoritarian government. Here's the one. TikTok has now stepped up to sue the state of Montana over the ban of TikTok. And finally for today, put on your pirate hat, because Netflix is rolling out their anti-account sharing policies in the US. Hit follow!
Okay, so to speak on that last thing there of the anti-account sharing thing, that's in full effect. And just to kind of put a spoiler in, I don't know if I include this later on in the future videos, in the future Dark Dimension TikToks, but yeah, basically people like, if you do this, like, Netflix is going to lose business, this is a horrible idea, this and that. It didn't change anything. And this is where, again, I say that a lot of people will just roll over and take it, more so than the people who will fight for it, and it's just not enough. Like, the people who are fighting for it are just not enough. Ever since these new policies with Netflix, where they banned account sharing, quote unquote, they've increased in subs. They've increased. We lost. We fucking lost. Sad shit. But yeah, a little bit of a spoiler, but sad shit. Let's go next. I want to get through a lot of these if we can.
For the last few years, I've had this sense that everything I learned as a kid about how America's government works is completely wrong. But I had no idea how bad things actually were until I saw this one graph.
Oh.
Researchers at Princeton University looked at more than 20 years worth of data to answer a pretty simple question. Does the government represent the people? Now,
we
this
already
is what
know
they
the
found.
answer is no.
This axis here represents public support for any given idea. On the left,
this is the part where, again, I'm gonna ask, like, where are they getting these statistics from, and can they prove this is real? Because again, we don't know what's real anymore.
0% are ideas that not a single American wants. On the right, at 100%, are ideas that everyone supports.
But there's no idea that everyone supports, so already this seems like very biased. Again, I want to just make this clear, and I've said this before. I don't fully support everything I send myself. Some of the stuff I send myself is to show that, you know, this might just be fake and shit. Like, this might be just be like a load of hoo-ha. Like, there's nothing everyone supports. Of course, he could be using it in the context of the argument to just show the side, even though it's an imaginary side that can never be reached. It still has to be shown as one of the potentials. But let's keep watching before I say anything more.
This represents the likelihood of Congress passing a law that reflects any of these ideas, from a 0 to a 100% chance. On this graph, an ideal republic would look like this. If 50% of the public supports an idea, there's a 50% chance of it becoming law. If 80% of us support something, there's an 80% chance. You get the idea.
But how do they even
Now, most Americans would probably agree that, with a few exceptions, we should be as close to this ideal as possible. Unfortunately, the way America actually works doesn't even come close. Take an idea that nobody supports, literally nobody, and it has about a 30% chance of becoming federal law. Now, take an incredibly popular idea, the most popular idea this country has ever seen, and there's also about a 30% chance of it becoming law.
Where is he getting this from?
This means that the number of American voters for or against any idea has no impact on the likelihood that Congress will make it law.
Crazy.
Put another way, and I'm just going to quote the Princeton study directly here, the preferences of the average American appear to have only a minuscule, near zero, statistically non-significant impact upon public policy.
So this is where, because he used the name of Princeton, we're just going to assume it's true. Again, we're not going to check his sources. We don't have time for that. It's almost 2 a.m. But yeah, if it's from Princeton, maybe it's not biased.
So if you've ever felt like your opinion doesn't matter and that the government doesn't really care what you think, well, you're right.
What a surprise.
There's a catch. This flat line only accounts for the bottom 90% of income earners in America.
Oh, what a
Economic
surprise.
elites, business interests, people who can afford lobbyists, they get their own line. Look at how much closer their line is to the ideal. When they want something, the government is much more likely to do it. And when they don't, they have the power to completely block it from happening, no matter how much the rest of the country supports.
If we're going to take this as true, like, again, this is a Princeton study, so now people have researched this and they know this, but no, nothing's going to change.
Supports it. They get what they want, and guess who ends up paying for it?
I honestly think our country is becoming a gigantic powder keg that's just waiting to explode. Maybe we're not filled up to the brim yet, but I feel like as time goes on and more of this stuff comes out, and people other than me do this shit too, and spread the word more, more and more people are going to be privy to like what's happening, and the more and more people know, at that point we're powder. All you need is a match. All you need is the person leading us, and all of the powder is going to get ignited. We're honestly becoming like a powder keg, man. It's scary.
We pay for it with the most expensive healthcare in the world.
Yes.
We pay for it with a tax code that's a complete mess.
Yes.
We pay for it with internet that's slower and more expensive, with wasteful spending, a floundering
Very
education
true.
system,
Very
a catastrophic drug war, and 1 in 5 American children born into poverty.
Oh,
Almost
yes.
every major issue we face as a nation can be traced back to
the
this
rich.
graph.
Oh yes.
How does this happen? Well, just follow the money. Right now, it's perfectly legal to buy political influence in America.
Same.
Here's how it works. Let's say a big bank wants a law that would force taxpayers to bail them out again if they repeat the exact same reckless behavior that crashed the global economy in 2008.
Yeah.
Not exactly the most popular idea with the public, and Congress knows that. That should be the end of it. But that's where the money comes in. It's perfectly legal for our bank to hire a team of lobbyists whose entire job is to make sure that the government gives the bank what it wants. Then,
at that point, I question, how the fuck do you become a lobbyist, right? Obviously, number one, you have to have nerves of steel and be a people's person, right? But, like, aside from that, do you, like, go to school to become a lobbyist? I don't think you do. So how the fuck do you get lobbyists? Is it like a trade school thing? Obviously not.
And those lobbyists can track down members of Congress who regulate banks and help raise a ton of money for their re-election campaigns.
Crazy.
It's perfectly legal for those lobbyists to offer those same politicians million-dollar jobs at their lobbying firm. Then, those lobbyists can literally write the language of this new bailout law themselves and hand it off to the politician they just buttered up with campaign money and lucrative job offers. And it's perfectly legal for those politicians to take the lobbyist-written language and sneak it through Congress at the last second.
Oh my god.
So now you've got a law that greatly benefits the banks, and the whole process can start over.
Yeah.
This is how a bill becomes a law. A special interest hires some lobbyists. Those lobbyists collect campaign contributions, offer jobs, and then write the laws that Congress then passes to help those same special interests.
There's the cycle. There's the fucking cycle.
This happens every day on every single issue with politicians of both parties.
Oh my lord.
In the last 5 years alone, the 200 most politically active companies in the United States spent $5.8 billion influencing your government.
And the sad part is, that's literally nothing. That's chump change to them. It's like, it's so
Those
fucking
same
sad.
companies got $4.4 trillion in taxpayer support.
Oh my god.
And that's trillion, with a T. And that's just
Pretty soon we're gonna hit quadrillion, man. I swear to God.
the top 200 companies. Never mind every other special interest, every union, every trade association, and every billionaire. Every single one of them can use their money to buy political influence. You know,
This
there's
is sad. How is this not illegal? I don't understand.
this idea out there that this only became a problem after the Supreme Court Citizens United decision in 2010. But the data goes back almost 40 years, and
Oh
the results
my
are
god.
clear. Corruption is legal in America.
Yeah.
And as long as it is,
Again, when I say things like this and when I show things like this, you kind of can guess what I'm gonna say from history. I feel like a conspiracy theorist. I feel like how did that guy say it? A kook. I feel like a crazy person. But I don't know if it's crazy anymore. See, now I feel crazy because I don't know if these are true facts from Princeton.
anyone who can spend money to buy political influence will.
Yes,
The
that's
solution
true.
here isn't rocket science. Make corruption illegal.
Or as George Carlin, or is that his name? Mr. Carlin said before, bloodshed.
We already know Congress won't do it. I mean, one look at this chart will tell you that. What we need is a plan that lets us go around Congress and do what the American people do best. Fix this mess ourselves.
Yeah, the American people never fix it themselves.
Well, good news. We have that plan and it's already working. Now that we've got the problem covered, let us show you how to be part of the solution.
So this is where I was scared to include the ending part of this video because this sounds like the whole thing was really good, but this ending, just because of other bad actors, makes me think this is a sham, this is like a scam sort of thing, where it's like, oh, he's just gonna become like them, right? Like if we join this organization and we pay a fee or something, you know, then they're just gonna become corrupt like what they're talking about, and then no one's gonna know because they trust them. It's very similar to, like I always say, the religious talk hosts, the radio hosts. But yeah, no, this was, aside from the ending there, it was pretty good. Let's go next.
Hello everyone,
We definitely have to start finishing up soon because it's 2 a.m. now, and I've been doing this for about 1.5 hours.
I know Lita Penthouse enjoying my single origin sustainable espresso from Brazil. For every hectare of rainforest they mow down, they plant one tree. I have a very packed schedule today. I'm going to do a rooftop infrared sauna session at the Equinox at the Hudson Yards.
Bro.
And then I secured a 7-minute meeting with a VP at Goldman where we will discuss decentralized finance. For lunch, I'm going to a restaurant called Za. It's 3 Michelin stars, and they're known for importing live octopus from the Black Sea and charring it in front of its children. You can taste the sorrow. After that, I'm debuting my NFT collection at 4 different galleries in different boroughs. And then for evening drinks, me and my straight white male friends are going to House of Yes to enjoy some culture. Hello, everyone.
What the Oh my god. You know what the funniest part of this too is? Equinox commented, I don't even know what the fuck Equinox is, but they commented on this shit, which is probably some intern or something who's managing their social account for them. But oh my god, this is so funny. It's sad though, but we're gonna end it off with a funny but sad one, where it's like, bro, the rich just have it so fucking good. This is where I always will never like be sad about the way I grew up. I grew up pretty poor, and I'll never be sad about that because it taught me the value of money. So if I ever become rich, I'm not gonna be stupid like these people, and even if I am, I'm gonna appreciate it. But anyway, that's basically gonna be it for this TikTok session. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and as always, you can watch me at Twitch TV Technics channel, and if you have any TikToks that you want featured on the Dark Dimension series, you could send them to my main account, Tecnics on TikTok, and if they're good enough, I'll send them to this account, and we'll review them in, like, God knows when. But again, Twitch TV Technics channel, I stream every day, or at least I try to, and I hope everyone enjoyed.